Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance. Over the past few days, we've been exploring every aspect of Crow. His skills, his build, his relics. And after hundreds of battles, endless testing sessions, and countless adjustments inside our training grounds, one thing became very clear. Crow isn't just another anti-mage hero. He's a hero that completely changes how you build teams. Now, before we begin, I want to make something very clear. It is still too early to say these are the definitive best Crow teams. The hero has only just arrived. The meta is still evolving. Players around the world are still experimenting. And every single day we're discovering new interactions, new counters and new combinations. So today's video isn't about saying, these are the only teams you should ever use. No. These are the teams that immediately stood out during our own testing. The teams that consistently performed at an extremely high level. The teams that kept making us stop, look at each other, and say, wait, this is actually insane. And that's exactly why we're sharing them with you today. Not because testing has finished, but because these particular compositions have already shown enormous potential. So, let's jump into the battlefield. Team 1. Electra, Durain, Yasmin, Koos, Crow, Guardians. This team is absolutely relentless. Every hero has one mission. Keep the enemy under constant pressure from the very first seconds of the fight. Crow immediately begins applying silence across the battlefield. That alone already starts limiting what intelligence-based heroes can do. But then, Electra enters the equation. She provides excellent offensive support while increasing the team's overall pressure, allowing your damage dealers to become even more threatening. Then comes Durain, one of the most explosive physical damage heroes in the game. Every second Crow spends disrupting the enemy backline is another second Durain can freely build momentum. And once Durain starts snowballing, fights end incredibly quickly. Now add Yasmin. She's constantly looking for isolated targets. Heroes unable to properly react. Unable to protect themselves. Unable to stabilize their team. Crow creates exactly those opportunities. While the enemy struggles to regain control, Yasmin does what she does best. Eliminate priority targets, one after another. And finally, Koos, the perfect anchor for the composition. Keeping the front line stable. Reducing incoming pressure. Giving the rest of the team enough time to continuously apply damage while Crow keeps disrupting the battlefield. What I love most about this composition is that it never gives the opponent breathing room. Pressure, control, burst, survivability, everything works together. Team 2. Now here's something that surprised us during testing. Who exactly said Crow should only be played with physical attackers? Honestly? Nobody. And if you actually read his kit carefully, nothing says that either. Crow doesn't buff physical damage. He doesn't require physical carries. He doesn't force one specific archetype. He rewards control? And that's a completely different thing. So, never let yourself become trapped by labels. Always test. Always experiment. Sometimes, the strongest discoveries happen when you completely ignore what everyone else believes. And that's exactly what happened here. Julius, Crow, Folio, Leanne, Mew. Guardians. This team is beautiful to watch. Instead of overwhelming your opponent with raw damage, it slowly takes complete control of the fight. Julius provides the stability the composition needs to survive the opening exchanges. Once that foundation is established, everything else begins working together. Crow constantly spreads silence throughout the battlefield. Folio excels at manipulating enemy positioning, grouping opponents together and making the battlefield increasingly uncomfortable for the opposing team. And when enemies become grouped, Crow's control becomes even more oppressive. Leanne adds another layer of disruption. Every additional moment the enemy spends unable to execute their own strategy becomes another opportunity for your team to dictate the fight. And then comes Mew, one of the strongest control heroes currently available. Between Mew's control tools, Leanne's disruption, Folio's battlefield manipulation, and Crow's constant silence, the opponent spends an unbelievable amount of time simply trying to recover. This isn't a burst composition. This is a suffocation composition. You're not winning because you're hitting harder. You're winning because the enemy never gets the chance to play the game. And honestly, watching this team function together is incredibly satisfying. Team 3 now. Let's make one small change. One single hero. Yet the entire dynamic changes. Julius, Crow, Folio, Mew, Thea. Yes, Thea. Guardians. I genuinely believe many players are going to underestimate this combination. But don't. Because if you've watched our relic analysis, you already know why. Crow's relic level 30 doesn't require Crow himself to apply silence. It only requires that at least one enemy is currently silenced. That's a huge distinction. And Thea becomes incredibly valuable because she also applies silence. Now think about what starts happening. Crow applies silence. Thea applies silence. Enemies continuously remain under the effect. And suddenly Crow's entire relic kit starts operating with incredible consistency. His abilities constantly find already silenced targets. His interactions become far more reliable. His pressure remains active for much longer. Everything flows naturally from one hero to the next. Again, nothing here is forcing physical attackers. Nothing here is relying on raw burst. It's relying on synergy. The heroes continuously enable each other. Julius keeps everyone alive. Folio controls positioning. Mew locks enemies down. Thea helps maintain silence across the battlefield. And Crow takes advantage of every single second the enemy remains affected. It's elegant. It's intelligent. And during our testing, it performed far better than we initially expected. Guardians? What excites me the most about Crow isn't simply how powerful he already is. It's how many possibilities he opens. Usually, when a new hero arrives, players immediately place that hero inside one obvious composition. Then everyone copies it. Crow doesn't feel like that. He's encouraging experimentation. He's encouraging players to think differently. To stop asking, "What should I play?" and instead ask, "What else can I create?" And I genuinely believe that's one of the healthiest designs we've seen in a long time. Because the more we've tested him, the more combinations we've discovered. And honestly, I don't think we're even close to finding everything yet. These three teams are simply the beginning. Over the coming days we'll continue testing new compositions, new synergies, new counters, and we'll bring every important discovery right here to Olympus Alliance. Because that's what we do. We test, we analyze, and we share everything with you. Now I want to hear from you, Guardians. Which of these teams impressed you the most? Have you already discovered another Crow composition that's performing incredibly well? Leave it down in the comments, because your ideas may help another Guardian discover the next great meta team. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next strategy guide. Stay tuned. Stay sharp. And, as always, salute and friendship.